Hey everybody, welcome to Impact Cast episode number 2. Today we're going to be interviewing Impact Club member Jarl Berg. Jarl's been in the community for a really long time. He's part of the Berg family, and they originally got their start way back in the day with a little Shell station on the corner where Berg Ski Shop currently sits. So they went gas station, Berg Ski Shop. That's where Jarl first got his start. So that's where he learned to start connecting in the community, and that's where he learned how to start doing some of the cool stuff which he does today, which involves photography, content marketing, and a lot of other stuff like that. But most importantly about Jarl is he's a really great community member. He's known by a lot of people, and I've dubbed him the most interesting man in Lane County because anywhere I go, if I mention his name, they know him. And if you have met him yourself, you will know he is multifaceted. He does a lot of different things. So with that, we're going to kick over to that episode of the Impact Cast. Eugene.
Are you here?
I'm here. What's going on?
Awesome. Not much. Thanks for being on the cast today. Ricky's here. We're all here.
He's got his shirt on.
I wish I had worn my shirt. Yeah. Would have been good to wear. Oh, I got my band.
Yeah.
I feel naked.
I did something to my shirt today. I tore it. So tell us, Jarl, what is it that you do in Lane County? You do a lot of things. Never quite sure.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I get that often. People are like, what do you do exactly? Like, well, I mean, it depends what you mean. I mean, on a daily basis, I wake up, I make breakfast for my kid, we cuddle on the couch a little bit, and then I get ready for work and I go to work. And I ski on the weekends whenever I can. So that's the very condensed version, of course.
You're living the ultimate Oregonian lifestyle, is from what I can tell.
I sure hope so, man. I sure hope so.
Well, what do you do for a job? I see you work from home. I see you around. I've seen you at Bike Friday. I've seen you at a few different things. What do you mainly do? I know it's something to do. I see you posting videos and stuff, so probably some sort of a media.
Yeah. I mean, the long story short, where my digital life started, because that's really where it's all based of. I'm a content marketing guy, social media marketing guy, SEO guy, videographer, photographer. All of that stems from a conversation I had about 21 years ago. My family wanted to start a website for the ski shop. And so I was the only one that was kind of interested in technology at that point of all the brothers that were involved with the business. So I'm like, I went into it both feet and went nuts and learned a lot of things when there wasn't a lot to know. So you couldn't go and just Google SEO back at that point. What does that even mean, right?
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot. YouTube.
There's a lot on it now, but yeah, definitely back then in those early days, it was probably pretty basic for information you could find online. It wasn't like you're going down to the library to find anything on a library book on SEO, which was probably still the thing. So when you say ski shop, you're talking about Berg Ski Shop, obviously.
Yeah, Berg Ski Shop.
Your family, how long have they been in that business for? It's been around for a long time, right?
Well, there's two pieces to that. So, there's three pieces total, but it started with my grandpa who spoke no English, who moved to America from Norway. He started a gas station in 1940, which was Shell. And if you've seen my Jeep running around, the Shell Jeep, that was my grandpa's Jeep. And that was on 13th and Lawrence. So if you look at the outside of Berg Ski Shop and look to the left side of the building, you'll see the gas station and the 2 bay doors still there.
Okay.
And there's lifts underneath the floor in there.
Huh. No kidding.
So the rental shop, when you're getting your boots fitted for downhill skis, you're sitting on top of 2 lifts. Hydraulic lifts.
Huh. No kidding.
Yeah.
So then it over time grew into being a ski shop. How'd that happen?
1955, just got out of the war. Government was giving away, cheap money or free money in a sense. And my dad and uncle had just learned how to ski from cousins that lived down in Ashland. And so Grandpa said, let's open a ski shop.
Huh. Interesting.
Why not?
That's pretty funny.
Totally.
Why not a ski shop?
So
we like to ski.
Yeah, no, it's rad.
Yeah.
Yes. So he went to
Super cool.
Norway and wrote it for his first order for a bunch of skis.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. And how long did you work there before you kind of started the content marketing stuff and figuring out that? And then how did you transition out of working there to what you're doing now?
So that's a little convoluted, but I spent 17 years there, and I loved it. It was like the dream job, working with family, supporting my family, being a part of all the things in my family. While working with my dad every day, it was awesome. But family business is tough sometimes, and we kind of hit a crossroads. And my son was about to be born, and so some things happened, and I decided, you know what, it's time to shift to the right there, and I'm going to stay home and be with my boy and be a stay-at-home dad for a little while.
Oh, cool. So that's, you predominantly work from home now. Is that what I'm understanding? You work from home and then you work for as like a, I guess, do they call that like a gig worker? Is that like for, people, or how does that work?
No. Okay. So let's get into that transition to that. So maybe a year, maybe less than a year. And after Finn was born, at some point you get a little restless and you're like, okay, what can I do while being stay-at-home dad and do some other stuff? So like a buddy came to me and said, hey, I've got this business, Pedal Power Music. We're going to be doing all this stuff. I need someone to get involved and take photos and video and do some things. And I think that's really where it kind of kicked things off.
Oh, okay.
So I started picking up little projects here and there. And at some point, someone's like, well, what's the name of your business? How do I pay you? I'm like, oh, well, okay.
Hey.
I know. So that's when Yeti Social was born.
Oh, okay. So Yeti Social is what the name of your business is.
Well, that's what it was. It's no longer. Okay. I mean, that's gone and dead. But I had clients like Eugene Toy and Hobby. I had Ski Oregon. I had Next Adventure in Portland. I had a couple of local people. I did everything from like recording audio for commercials, radio commercials. Did some TV commercial work. Did like YouTube videos for marketing different products. I used all the skill sets I learned at the ski shop.
So you left the ski shop to be a stay-at-home dad. And then you were kind of like, I'm going to start figuring out something else from here.
Totally.
Yeah, that's cool. And so are you still predominantly the stay-at-home person while your wife's working as a teacher?
No, not anymore. It's been a couple of years now. Through all that, at some point with like Eugene Toy and Hobby, it just made more financial sense to become an employee instead of working as, part-time, whatever, through Yeti Social. It just was cheaper in the end. It made sense to them, made sense to me. So at some point they just hired me on full-time to work on the website. Content, we had thousands of products in the store that we had to write content, like hand write content for, shoot photos for,
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. How long ago was that you were working at Eugene Toy and Hobby?
I was probably there for about 4-ish years. I'd work a couple months, and then I got a job at Next Adventure. So I actually spent like 6 months, 7 months, living 4 days a week in Portland. It was really weird. As a dad and a new dad, that really stunk a lot, actually. So I loved the job because I was back in the ski industry doing exactly what I loved and knew, but it was hard on the family. So we finally said, done.
Done with that. Got to be done with it and be back home.
Yeah,
That's cool.
The best job I've had was with Ski Oregon, which I'm actually on the board of directors now. But I spent 7 months, 6 months, basically driving around the state, going to every ski area in Oregon, and shooting videos and photos and skiing. Writing blogs.
That's your dream right there.
It was awesome. It was really awesome.
Yeah, that is super cool. Well, let's shift gears into the other things that you do. Like I know I'm looking at the picture there, Sons of Norway ski stuff. How do you get involved in things, and what are you involved in inside the community? So one of the things I think about with like Impact Club members is I find that a lot of them are involved in a lot of different charitable organizations or different things or causes and stuff like that. That seems to be kind of the main crux of a member. They're involved in a lot of different things.
Totally. Well, so let's start with Hoodoo, which is up in, I don't know if I think it's backwards right now. So I, for 13 years, had a big telemark festival up there. And what we did with that Telemark Festival, other than just being a bunch of crazy ski bums, demoing skis, doing races, all the stuff, we raised a bunch of money for Oregon Adaptive Sports and the local adaptive ski program. So that's probably where we'll call it philanthropy started, was being involved in trying to raise money for adaptive skiers so they can enjoy the winter sports as much as I do. So cool. I think that's really where it all started. I mean, I was part of Rotary back then and other things too, but that was a big one for me, was how to give back to something that I am personally very passionate about and love. So that's, I think, where it all got started. And then through that, Sons of Norway is kind of a given because my family's born, all my family's in Norway. And so my grandparents are actually on the charter from 1938 at the lodge. So like there's a placard in the front room.
Wow.
Their names on that placard. So, I'm one of the stewards of the lodge. I take care of the lodge. I'm actually going to go mow the lawn today. So, we're all shut down right now, but grass still grows and weeds still grow. And,
right. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen multiple pictures of you either sweeping in that lodge or doing work in that lodge. And so it just kind of like adds to I think the most interesting man in Lane County which is what I've dubbed you as now, because you always have something going on or something different. It's like one day you're skiing, one day you're shooting video, one day I see a bunch of computer screens, you're working on this, you're working on that, this organization. It's like, and there isn't a person in this town that I don't think knows who you are. So that's probably a good thing since you've been around for a long time. You've obviously haven't burned any bridges, you've just built them.
Yeah,
cool.
no. So. I'm like my dad in that sense. My dad is he knows everyone. He's super involved, has his fingers in everything. He's Mr. Tracktown USA. He's at every track event. He's a timer. He's one of the, he does all kinds of stuff. But that comes into things like Ski Oregon. I'm on the board of directors with Ski Oregon because I care so much about the ski culture in Oregon. And that's everything. That's the ski shops, that's all the manufacturers. Look at Columbia Sportswear is based here in Oregon. Dakine is based here in Oregon. True is based here in Oregon. And there's a couple ski and snowboard companies based here in Oregon. So we've got some pretty incredible things. Northwest Alpine. So I don't want to leave all any of them out here. And then Sport Hill, right here in Eugene, Oregon. Sport Hill makes incredible Nordic gear. So there's just this amazing microcosm of winter sports enthusiasm right here based in Oregon. And that's why Ski Oregon is so cool. And then free bikes for kids, also involved with that. Cause I worked with Bike Friday. That's what kind of got me into it. But then I've got a 9-year-old boy. I know how much he loves to be on a bike. I want any kid in our community to be as excited as my kid on a bike. I want them to have their own bike and be able to have that pride and joy.
So tell us more about that. So free bikes, how does that all work?
Yeah. So, it's the core of the group is Burley, great local company that started here in Eugene. So they're the people behind Free Bikes for Kids, and they are incredible people to work with. And the neat thing about this program is it really is people not only donating their old bikes and then they get cleaned up by volunteers and then get donated, but they also have put in a lot of their own personal capital into this program. So to buy helmets, buy brand new bikes for kids who maybe there are not a lot of kids' bikes, so they go buy bikes. And they can the connections to get them for pretty inexpensive cost, but it still costs money to run the programs. It costs money to have some people running, the actual the groups to clean up all the old bikes, to organize all the stuff that's new, and then to organize getting all out to the community and to the right people in the community. It's a cool program.
Didn't we have them on Impact Club?
I don't think so.
Are they a nonprofit?
They are a nonprofit. And they could qualify.
Well, sign them up.
I'll get on that.
Yeah, I swear. I know them from somewhere, so I just don't know if it's Impact Club or somewhere else. But
Allison and Mike are the main core behind that. And
impactclub.com/charity, I think, or Impact Club Eugene /charity should get you to the charity registration, or just Impact Club Eugene, and then scroll down and it'll click charity. So which is another thing, but that's super cool. It's crazy to me. Like when you think local, there's so many local nonprofits and other organizations out there that even the 20 or 25 in the back of the Impact Club site that I see, it seems like you're learning about new ones all the time and what they've been doing. A lot of them have been around for a long time. And I just think that, they tend to get drowned out a little bit by some of the bigger ones. And I'm kind of a local person. I love local. So I love supporting local charities. And that's what, like the Impact Club thing's all about. You want local nonprofits and your money to stay here in the local community, which is super cool.
Totally.
It sounds like you're doing lots of different things and working on that. And I didn't even know about the free bikes for kids until I was looking at the back of your screen there, which I'd like to know how you do that also. So
no problem.
One of those cool screens. So I don't have this gray background that Ricky and I both have behind us, but let's fast forward a little bit. Where are you heading? What's your plan? What's your dream? What are you doing in Lane County? What's your big focus right now?
Yeah. So, question. I know, no, it's a big question. And there's a lot of thoughts rolling around my head. I feel very underutilized in my life right now is the best way I can explain that. Because I've gained a lot of knowledge in these last, we'll call it 10 years of being outside of my family's business and being so focused on that. It's allowed me to kind of open my eyes to other things that are going on around our city, our community, our county, you name it, our state. So one thing that people don't know about me is that I am born and raised in a very government influenced family because the guy who raised us, his name was Edward Faley. Anyone who knows Edward Faley knows we don't have sales tax because of him. So, my mom was a legal secretary for a long time. She went to Salem, had an office in Salem in the Capitol for many years as a legal secretary to Ed Faley as well. I don't ever want to run for mayor as far as I can tell at this moment, but or anything along those lines. Yeah. But I am getting more involved in city council. Cool. And I care deeply about our community, specifically right here in Eugene and what's going on. And I see that as a place that I can give back some and get more involved in. I don't have all the answers, but I like to talk to people and listen to people and then see my brain works in a way that it's able to think outside the box of how things can get done. I don't take no for an answer very easily or that it can't be done.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. So
maybe you should be a mayor or a city councilor or something like that down the road. Or just a really good advocate too, which is you already are. But those are all things that I could totally see you doing.
That's my preference would be to be an advocate, to be in the court with the governor or with the mayor of Eugene and helping and supporting that person, whoever it is. That's just, we're in a weird spot right now where no one wants to agree and work together, and we need to change that. I don't care where you come from, what your background is, you're Democrat, Republican, who cares? These are human beings living in this city, trying to coexist and make a better life for our families. That's what matters right now, not what the side of the aisle you're on.
That's totally true. That's another thing that I think that I see in a lot of Impact Club members in Eugene is they do care deeply about their community outside of them giving and helping, with other things they're involved in. But it's a true connection to the community that they really feel, and is what they want to keep growing and fostering. Just kind of like you said, you have something. Were you going to say something, Rick? I thought you're motion like going to talk. So.
I had something, but I forgot it now.
Sorry.
I just have to keep muting it is all because we get some feedback. We're sitting next to each other.
Totally.
So we're in the same spot. But what's the big thing big struggle right now that you either have in your business or you see in the community or something that you think is important to address? Do you have anything like that you see? You just kind of mentioned, the community not working together, which I do see a lot of that. Business doesn't seem to be working with council. Mm-hmm. Business and, some of the big issues in the city aren't aligned. But anything else out there that you're thinking you struggle with?
Well, I'm looking at what's going on right now. And one thing I really struggle with is that I think we have a lot of businesses that could be more proactive in what's happening in our community right now, especially with the COVID stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
This is tough. I mean, this is something that no one, as far as we can tell, has ever had to deal with in the history of human beings, right?
Right.
I mean, there's been plagues, there's been things, but we're just in a different age now, right?
Yeah, not in this connected of a level.
Right. And I keep hearing, oh, well, the USA this, USA that. I'm like, dude. So we talk to our family in Germany and Norway almost every day. This isn't an American problem. This is a world problem. So, you have to look at it. This is a huge deal.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you kind of see a little bit of like some of the talk where, well, the local governors kind of manage their own states, this and that, and then the federal government's there for support. And you look at it like on a worldwide level. I mean, what's the communication? What's going on there to try to get everybody on a congruent playing field there? We're going to keep having these same issues if it pops up in one other country that didn't get it taken care of, and then it all starts over again. I mean,
it does.
That time it was this last time, maybe it was in China that they think, but if next time, if it pops up again, where's it going to be, and how do you handle those things? And when you're not on a congruent level, that's a big issue, and we end up like right where we are, housed for 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, it's really disconnected right now.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. Do you ever? I mean, so you're obviously a little bit more of a worldly person because you do have family in other countries. What is their perspective, over there of how the U.S. is operating in conjunction and everything? Do they have a different perspective?
They do. I mean, I think we all are struggling with the leadership side of things right now. Right, wrong, good or bad. Again, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Even our own governor, we haven't heard anything since last Thursday or Friday from her. So it's like, what's going on? Where's our leadership right now? Where's the people that are at least saying, hey, I'm working on it. Just stay tuned,
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
And then, then you hear what Trump's saying and all that. And you're just like, okay, come on, people, let's figure this out. It's not, I know it's a totally crazy thing. I know it's totally new. That's all. Okay. So in the end, that is what it is. Here's what my hope and my vision is for right now. And I think that's most helpful. We really need to look out for each other. I mean, my wife is a school teacher. She is struggling big time to figure out, how do I make this new way of teaching work? How do I help my kids, help the parents of those kids get at least a little bit of learning in their life every day, and so that at least when the day comes, things can go back to normal again, which may not be next year. That is our harsh reality right now. When it does go back to normal, what can we do now so that they're not just totally lost in YouTube land and Netflix land?
Yeah. Well, and I guess my take on some of that is that this is all new in the sense of the connectivity and everything, but this is probably what is going to be the new normal for pandemics going forward. So what we do now is setting foundation for how we handle it in the future. And it's like you said, it's really fragmented at the moment, and no real leadership that's taking a stand and kind of leading the way for it. It's all pieces everywhere. Everyone's kind of separate and doing their own thing. So hopefully we can learn from it and also move forward in that regard.
I agree.
It's team effort, it's man. Another 100 years, Seriously. I know I don't want to do this again in my lifetime. So
I mean, what's it like for you, Robert, with being a firefighter? I mean, what's your perspective?
It's interesting. I mean, for us, it's like there's so much changing every single day with what we have to do. Like memo after memo after memo just coming out, and trying to stay updated as like, what's the newest precaution, what level of precaution, everything are we supposed to take? But, the hard part about it is, they ask the right questions and everything through dispatch and it filters down, but it doesn't mean the person isn't sick, right? Just because they don't have the COVID-19 symptoms doesn't mean that, they're not sick. But then when you have a limited amount of, N95 masks and stuff, and you're trying to reuse them and keep them and all that stuff, I think it makes people feel uneasy in that aspect. And I think moving forward, I think a lot of the cities and states and, probably the federal government will really think thoroughly about stockpiling the right equipment, but those things also have a shelf life, some people are like, oh, our masks are torn up, this and that, a mask isn't going to sit, on the shelf for 20 years, so totally. That's kind of a hard thing, to deal with. But as far as like what I've seen, like in the community, we've actually, our call volume's been down, which is kind of crazy. So we typically, like Eugene, Springfield's a really busy area, especially in fire and EMS and even police, and so I would say, gosh, I thought they said we were down like 40% on our calls. So that is great because, maybe you're not dealing with some people that you'd like to think that the people who probably didn't necessarily need to call 911 are the ones not calling, but it also might be those sick people that are just not calling, right? And not wanting to go to the hospital to get sick. So you never really know exactly, what the scenario is there, but our call volume is down. So people aren't calling, which has been a little bit nicer when you have to think about dealing with some of those other things. Because when you have so many things in the day, if you're running a lot of calls, like the station I work at runs, I don't know, I think it's in perspective, say 10,000 calls a year, that one station. The city of Bend, their 5 stations run, 10,000 calls a year, so we run a lot in this town. So with that little bit of break, it allows us to at least focus on being prepared to be able to take care of people in case it really spikes. And in case we have to really, get busy with everything and start transporting a lot of sick people around. So that's kind of my perspective on it. But a lot of it's just kind of like holding and waiting and making sure everything's clean and making sure you've got those procedures down, because you can't have it, you can't learn it at a time of stress. You got to learn it beforehand. We've all had pretty good, I think hygiene, but you're taking it to like the next level. You're taking it to like operating room level. And where we're like glasses, gloves, maybe not necessarily so focused on the respiratory, because there's not a lot of things that you're going to get that way. But, now it's kind of like everything, Right. It's definitely a transition. So, and that just comes with stress,
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of crazy. So
it is.
Well, if you could sum up, I got one good question here, and let's see how you answer it. It's going to be interesting. If you had to sum up your impact in the community, what would it be? Because you're diverse. Biggest impact in the community.
Biggest impact in the community. I mean, so Sarah Madera and I have been back and forth a lot through this process. And I hope, again, because my brain likes to think. It likes to think of solutions. I love finding solutions for problems. And in all of that, I've been sending her a lot of information of, hey, how come this place and this place are sitting idle when they have 3D printing machines? And that was weeks ago. The University of Oregon, great example. They have tons of machines just at the EMU sitting there open. You can see them from the public eye can see them in windows. And so I'm like, why aren't those making masks? Why aren't those making all kinds of things that we can make? Well, then they found answers for that. So,
nice.
Now they're being used finally.
Yeah.
So,
that's cool.
So if my impact can be a guy that is able to think outside the box and ask the tough questions, I'm cool with that. I'm not gonna have all the answers. But I'm not afraid to say, hey, what about this? What about that? I want to be that guy for our community if I can be.
Someone's going to ask the tough questions.
Right. Do you ever get any pushback from that? Do you ever get people that kind of like get a little upset with you from asking those tough questions or anything like that?
So, I mean, a couple weeks ago when this first all started coming out and becoming a thing, I had all the questions, and I still have them now because they still haven't been answered, about comparing the deaths to the flu and all of those things and going, how is this any different than the flu? And I got a ton of pushback for that because people believed I didn't think this was real. And I'm like, I believe this is very real, but I also believe the flu's real and other things. So I have questions. I don't have questions about, should we have to shut everything down? I don't have questions about that. It's if the world is shutting down, it's probably a good idea that we shut down too and stay at home. But my family in a tiny village, so next door neighbor to my mother and father-in-law, they went to Spain. They went to spend like a week there, 2 weeks there, sitting on the beach. They came home, got sick, found out they had COVID.
Whoa.
I mean, this is a tiny village of 1,500 people. They don't even have a store. They have nothing. And
they got sick.
Neighbor, and they got sick.
Wow.
Which means that they didn't know they were sick when they first got home. So they were talking to neighbors. They were talking to my in-laws. They were talking to everyone. Their kids picked them up from the airport and brought them home. Wow. Their impact on that tiny village is gigantic because there's a lot of old farmers living there.
Wow.
A lot of smokers, a lot of farmers, multi-generational homes.
Yeah.
Dang. That's a huge deal.
1,500 people. Wow.
Yeah.
That is a huge deal.
So, and they're younger, healthier people,
Yeah.
So think outside the box, people. How do we fix this? How do we get restaurants open again? I mean, that means taking half the tables out or blocking them off so you have to sit apart. I don't care, but you got to start thinking about these things and go, how do we get the economy? Yes. How do we do it in a safe and logical way?
Right. Yeah. So your best advice would be to think outside the box.
Think outside the box.
Cool.
Find answers to this.
Perfect. I think that's a great place to end this conversation. We're running right up on our time here. So Jarl, most interesting man in Lane County, dubbed by me, which is thank you so much for being on the Impact Cast. And with that is a wrap, unless Ricky has something he wants to say.
No, thanks, Jarl. Appreciate your time. And this is new, so we're enjoying it.
Right on. I'm enjoying it too. I'm stoked you guys are making an impact in this way.
We'll definitely have you back on.
All right.
Once we get all of these things figured out. Cool.
So we can answer those questions that are outside the box and see what you think of them.
Sounds good. Send them my way.
Nice. Right on. Thanks, man. Really appreciate you being here today.
Happy to be here.
Cool. Yeah.